Hello, this is Coach Wilson, and this is Chapter 5, Section 3. Today we're going to be talking about the powers of Congress. Now, first of all, Congress has express or what we call delegated powers. Okay, and these are powers given to Congress in Article 1 of the Constitution. Some of the examples that this involves: printing our money, collecting taxes, regulating trade and industry, defending the country, and creating lower courts. Now, all of these are powers that are not given to the states at the local level, okay, or at the state level. Printing money is something that only the federal government can do. Now, not all of these are not at the state level, but some of these are. For example, the state level can collect taxes, all right, but generally your federal taxes are much more. Your state taxes are a little bit less, all right? We'll talk more about those as we get into some of our economic stuff. Implied powers are powers given to Congress by the necessary and proper clause. We've talked about that already, so we're not going to spend a ton of time on that. That is known as the elastic clause, and these powers are left open to the interpretation of the Constitution. For example, establishing military academies, the National Bank, and the Federal Aviation Administration. Okay, and there's other examples of implied powers, but essentially these are powers that Congress deems necessary at a time of crisis or a time when it is needed, that aren't expressly written into the Constitution. Now, Congress also has what we call additional powers, which means the power to investigate, power to propose amendments, power to impeach or accuse an officeholder of misconduct. Okay, perfect example is when they impeached President Trump, President Clinton, even back to President Andrew Johnson, who was impeached during, actually was close to being impeached during the Reconstruction era. The point is that when they feel like something has been done improperly or illegally, or they consider it misconduct or bad, as the easiest word there, they can investigate and try to impeach that office holder, okay, at which point then it goes to a trial and they determine whether or not to actually physically remove them from office. Now, the powers of the House of Representatives: the House must start all appropriation bills that approve the spending of money. This is known as the power of the purse. Okay, and so essentially, if they're going to do anything in regards to the government that involves our economy or changing our economy, then it has to go through the House of Representatives first. Now, the House also is responsible for picking the president if there is no clear winner in the Electoral College. So if the perfect example is in the election of 1800. That was one example. The other one is during Jackson's election, 1824. He won roughly 37% of the Electoral College, which was not over 50%, meaning that it had to go to the House of Representatives for a runoff. Essentially, he lost the election because the House of Representatives picked the winner. Now, there's a whole big story into that, but we'll learn more about that in a different class. Now, the House of Representatives is also responsible for beginning the impeachment process, and then it goes to the Senate following its approval in the House. Now, the powers of the Senate. The Senate approves the presidential appointments and approves all treaties. So if the president appoints a specific person to a job, then the Senate will vet that person to ensure that they are capable of the job and that they are not, or that they are fit for office. The Senate also acts as the jury in impeachment cases to remove an official. There has to be a 2/3 vote of the Senate in order to remove that particular president, representative, candidate, whatever it may be, from an office. Okay, and this process is also used on the president, the vice president, and judges. Okay. Now, Congress does have some limits. All right, first of all, the 10th Amendment says that all powers are not given to the federal government and that some are reserved for the states and the people. All right, that is one of the amendments in there that we call the States' Rights Amendment, because it gives the states power to do things that are not explicitly written in the Constitution, as well as ensures that the federal government cannot do everything that the states can do. You also have a system of checks and balances, which makes sure no branch is too powerful. We talked about that extensively. And Congress cannot tax exports. Okay, that is one of the big things that Congress cannot mess with. They can add tariffs on imports, but they cannot affect exporting. Okay, and also We generally have a two-party system, which balances the things that Congress can and cannot do. For example, one party may be in power as far as they have a majority, but the minority is large enough to ensure that Congress does not have too much power. All right, that's all I have for you today. Please make sure you're keeping up with your notes. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, I'll talk to you soon.